Howdy folks, this is a video to explain what pronouns are, why everyone seems to be talking about them, and what you actually need to know. And I know the minute you say the word pronouns, a whole bunch of good people get angry and uncomfortable, and I totally get that. That's totally okay. But we're going to be talking about them in a way that's a little bit different and a lot simpler, and I'm also not going to get mad at you for not knowing anything or just making simple, honest mistakes. Pronouns used to seem really weird and complicated to me, and talking about them was one of the most uncomfortable things to do when I was coming out of the closet. I hated telling people what my preferred pronouns were. That just felt really nasty for some reason. It was like saying I was like a Bears fan or something. That's just not who I was, because I think the media especially just makes it seem controversial and strange, and I don't want to be associated with that. That's just not who I am. What a pronoun actually is it's just a grammatical term that's used to refer to a noun, which is a person, place, or thing, without saying what that person, place, or thing actually is. So for example, in the sentence, my dad recently learned you can flip a cheese hat over and fill it with chips, guac, salsa, and queso. Later that night, he also learned you can just fill it with beer. Here, he is referring to my dad, and beer is referring to a good time. It took me a while to realize how straightforward this idea of pronouns actually is, and how the media kind of just makes it seem a lot more complicated than it really is. And also the idea of changing someone's name or pronouns, that's not even that different from things we already do already. And this is a true story that I'm telling here, but I'm just going to change the names of the people involved for their privacy. But I do remember when I was in 9th grade, my math teacher got married, so she changed her name from Miss Miller to Mrs. Brown. And of course, this is a totally normal thing to do. Everyone was really happy for her, and we all started calling her Mrs. Brown. That's just a normal thing to do. And of course, I totally stumbled and messed up here and there and accidentally called her Miss Miller, but she was totally fine with that. And, other folks did that too. It's a pretty normal thing. And now when I think back of her and I remember her because I respect her, I still think of her as Mrs. Brown because that's just what we do. That makes sense to change things in a way that respects people. I eventually learned that even when you're talking about gender and pronouns, it doesn't have to be that complicated either. For example, I have a Shetland sheepdog, a pretty fluffy dog, but he is a guy, and oftentimes when we're walking him around and people meet him for the first time, they just assume that he's a girl dog.
Oh my god, that's such a beautiful dog. What's your name?
Oh, it's actually a boy dog. His name's Io.
Oh, what a handsome young man. Good boy. Oh my god, what a beautiful woman. What's her name?
Oh, this is actually a guy. His name is Ernie.
Oh my god, what a handsome man. Good boy.
Because a lot of times we're told, especially from the news, that pronouns are weird and new and complicated, but not really. Like, we use them all the time without thinking about them mostly. If you already speak English, you already know what the deal with pronouns is. It's pretty much if you are a guy, most guys like to go by he or him or his, and most women like to go by she or her or hers. I like to write this as a he, him with a slash in the middle, she slash her. This is just a nice, easy way to write it. For example, if I wanted to say, I like to go camping with my dad. He took me in his car to a bunch of his favorite state parks. I say he took me in his car and his favorite because my dad uses he, him pronouns since he is a guy. You might think that this sounds too easy to be true, and that's exactly right. It's surprisingly simple, but that's really all pronouns actually are. But what can make it a little bit confusing is when someone's pronouns aren't what you'd expect them to be. And this can be anything from as simple as when you see a woman with short hair and you accidentally just think that she's a guy, or it could even mean when you meet someone who is transgender, so they actually change their pronouns from what you would have initially expected them to be. We're going to talk about 2 nice tricks to help make this be a lot simpler. The first trick isn't so much of a trick, more so it's just a different way of thinking about this so that it seems less new and less foreign and it makes a lot more sense. And that's the fact that calling someone by the pronouns that they want to be called by, especially even if it's a little bit confusing and not what you would expect, that's actually just a way to be nice to that person. The truth is, this isn't a California thing. It's about being nice. This is a Wisconsin thing. And growing up, we're taught all sorts of ways to be nice to people, to hold the door open for someone. You can shovel your neighbor's driveway, even just saying, how's it going? And good to see you, good morning. These are normal ways that we're taught to be nice. Calling someone by the pronouns they want to go by is actually just a good way to be nice to someone. And that's sort of just implied that most women go by she, her pronouns, so it's nice to call them she and her. And most men like to go by he, him pronouns, so it's just nice to call them he and him. You wouldn't even really think of calling them anything else other than that, because it just kind of comes off as insulting and mean when you do that.
How's it going, Sue?
I'm not Sue, I'm Doug. I'm a guy.
Nice hat, Sue.
Well, thanks, but I'm Doug. I'm a guy.
Someone's parked in the assigned parking spot for Doug. I think it was some lady. Do you guys see whose car that was?
Oh yeah, that's Sue's.
Yeah, that's yours, right?
No, that's my spot, but I'm Doug. I'm a guy.
And that's because if you're a man, you just like to be called he and him. And if you're a woman, you just like to be called she and her. That's just kind of how we are. The media, the government, nothing else can really change that. Only you can know that that just feels right for you, and that's what makes sense. It's pretty simple like that. So when you want to be nice to a woman, you call her she and her. And if you want to be nice to a guy, you call him he and him. And what can make this seem confusing is when someone who you thought was a guy actually says that she wants to go by she, her pronouns, or someone who you thought was a girl actually wants to go by he, him pronouns. And this confusion is totally normal. And it's also normal to feel uncomfortable around that. And a lot of this comes from the fact that most folks don't know what it's like to want to change your pronouns and want to change your gender, because most people don't have to deal with gender dysphoria, which is the feeling of being extremely uncomfortable because of the gender that you are. There's all sorts of pain out there that people who don't experience them directly can't really understand, such as clinical depression or anxiety. If you don't actually experience that pain, you won't really understand what that's like. And of course, you can't be expected to understand what that's like because you don't have that. But if you had a friend who has depression and they ask you to do something that will help them feel better about themselves with their depression, you'd probably still do it, whether or not you yourself understand that pain and actually have depression, because you know that this will help this person who you care about, and you see them as someone who is so much more than just the depression that they have. You don't have to understand someone else's pain in order to help them deal with it, but you do have to trust them to know what's right for them and what helps them, because no government and no media can make that decision for them. Only you can know what is true and what is right and best for yourself. And that's trick number 1 right there. It's just realizing that it's about niceness. And trick number 2 is a helpful trick that I use in case I do get someone's name or pronouns wrong, which totally does happen all the time. We're all human. We make mistakes. That's normal. But this trick is very helpful. It's every time that I get someone's pronouns wrong, or someone's name, it works with names too, in my head, I think up 5 sentences that use the correct name or pronouns, and I just think that on the spot, and that's it. That's the entire trick. Every time you get their name or pronouns wrong. This is my other dog, Sky, and she is a girl dog, but I've never had a girl dog before, so it also took me a while to really get used to her gender and calling her the right pronouns as well. Good boy, good boy. Oh, wait, Sky's a girl. Let me try that trick. She's a good dog. She likes to go on walks. She's very happy. Her favorite food is chicken. Her fur is very fluffy.
I'm gonna take him for a walk.
Oh, snap, I did it again. She's a fast runner. She likes to hunt mice. She's very cute. Her snout is very long. Her bark is very loud. Cool.
Sky, did you get in the garbage again? Bad girl. Wait, you are a girl. Good job. Good job. Yes. This trick works really well on people too. Like you can do it on, if you have a family member who recently came out, like a nephew or a niece or a son or daughter. You can do it on them. And in fact, if you want to pause the video and give this trick a shot, you can think of any person. Doesn't even really matter if they're trans or not, and just think of 5 sentences to use the correct pronoun. It's a really helpful trick, and it really does work.
Now there's another matter that initially might make this seem even more complicated, and that's when you're talking about people who don't like to use he, him, or she, her pronouns. Non-binary people are folks who don't feel comfortable as men or as women. They would rather be something else entirely. They just want to be themselves. And if you're like me, this sounds very confusing initially. I grew up, then spent the vast majority of my life not knowing that this was an option at all, and it doesn't really make sense the first few times you hear about it. So I'm a man. I don't understand what it's like to want to be a woman or to want to be something other than a man or a woman. And when I first heard about this idea of non-binary people, I didn't want to have to adjust the way that I saw the world to make room for something that I saw as just inconvenient and that didn't make sense to me. But as much as I initially didn't want to face it, the truth is there are people out there who feel this way. And later, as I got older and I met non-binary people, I learned how much it hurt them when they were referred to as men or women, and how that just didn't feel right to them. And I became really, really good friends with these really nice, smart, fantastic, kind people. And I don't want to hurt them in that way. I learned to see them just as good people, not as men or women or balls of problems and confusion, just as friends. And I want to respect them the way that I would respect any of my other friends, and help them and be nice to them by calling them the pronouns that feel best for them. Since non-binary people aren't men or women, many of them like to use they, them pronouns, which, it's sort of like you're referring to a plural, like a bunch of people, but it's just one individual non-binary person. And I know that can sound odd. It definitely was the first time that I heard about it, but a fun trick to help make it that kind of makes sense is to think of one non-binary person as like a swarm of bees. So it's like a plural, like they, them, that is the swarm of bees. I don't know, it sounds funny, but it can help. For example, you can say, they are named Kai, their favorite color is green, I met them at church, they use they, them pronouns, which sounds plural even though they are one very nice friend. That's also the 5 times in your head trick right there too. Whoa, we got 2 in 1. Pretty cool.
Hey, are y'all going to Amy's later today? I heard she's making her famous chili.
Oh yeah, although I think Amy's using they, them pronouns.
What does that mean?
Well, it just means when someone uses they or them pronouns instead of she or her pronouns, it's like they're making chili.
Wait, so Amy's like more than one person?
No. You can still use like they, them pronouns for like a single person if that's what they want to go by.
I see. So I'd say something like, they've got a cool shirt on, or they live on Oakwood Avenue?
Yeah.
But they're still gonna make the chili, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds good with me.
Great. Calling people by different pronouns can definitely be a little bit difficult at the start, but it's not hurting anyone. It's easier once you get the hang of it, and it can really help make someone feel good about themselves. So I say it's usually worth the extra effort. And sometimes you'll also see people put their pronouns on their name tag, right by their name. And when I first saw this, I was kind of annoyed by it. Like, I don't know, why are you telling me what to do? I don't really like that. But then I realized that they're actually helping make it easier for the folks around us so that we know exactly how to be nice to them and what pronouns to call them that will feel good for that person. And it's also not that different from just putting your name on your name tag either, since most people like to be called by their name. So it's just a way of saying, if you want to be nice to me, this is what you can call me.
Morning, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Morning. My name's Doug.
Oh, nice shoes, Dave.
Thanks, but my name is Doug.
Will Dave Johnson please move out of the parking space designated for Doug?
That's my spot. My name's Doug.
And if you really want to step up your niceness and make sure that everyone around you feels super accepted and welcomed and they feel at home, you can actually put your pronouns on your name tag too, even if you're not transgender or non-binary, and even if it's pretty clear that you're a man who likes to go by he, him pronouns, or a woman who likes to go by she, her pronouns, just by looking at you. This may seem unnecessary at first, but if you create an atmosphere where everyone feels comfortable sharing their pronouns and it's not a weird or new thing, then the people whose pronouns might be different from what you'd initially expect, they probably feel a lot more comfortable sharing their pronouns as well, and that can feel really, really good for those people. Generally, people with pronouns that are different from what you might expect do not want to seem radical or controversial. They're just trying to express themselves in a way that feels true to who they are. And when you create an atmosphere, when they feel comfortable doing that, that can feel really, really good. And that's a super nice thing to do for them. Like I said, this isn't a California thing. This is about niceness. This is a Wisconsin thing.
Now we got a bunch more tips that we're going to buzz through in our new original game show, The Pronoun is Right, brought to you by Name Tags. Have you ever forgotten the name of your nephew's new girlfriend and all of a sudden she's sitting right next to you at the family gathering? You need Name Tags. Round 1, each question is going to be worth 10 points. April, the first question goes to you. What is a non-binary person and what pronouns might they use?
So a non-binary person is someone who doesn't quite feel like they're a man or a woman, they feel like they're something else. Because of this, they might not like to use he, him, or she, her pronouns. Instead, they might use something like they, them. I think there shouldn't be rules or anything stopping people using the pronouns they want. I think it's weird people make people love it.
Correct! 10 points for you. Liv, what do you do if you don't know someone's pronouns?
I'm gonna say you can ask what someone's pronouns are, like how you forget someone's name, you just ask it.
Fantastic. April, what do you call someone if these are their pronouns?
I'm gonna guess that it's not really that complicated. I bet this person is okay with she, her, or they, them pronouns, so I could call her she or they and they'd be alright with it.
Correct! Some people can totally use multiple pronouns, just like how some people on some days can wear really colorful clothing, but then the next day that same person can wear totally dark clothing. Change can be normal and it doesn't have to be that complicated. Next question, Liv. Is it grammatically correct to call one singular non-binary person they, them pronouns?
I'm gonna say no, it doesn't sound grammatically correct. Like, I want to be an ally and supportive to all non-binary people. However, it does feel weird and clunky when I use they in a sentence.
Actually, that is incorrect. They, them pronouns are grammatically correct even when referring to one singular person. And grammar and language are always naturally changing to fit people and the times. Change is worth it if it doesn't hurt anyone and it makes other people feel better about themselves. April, to steal those points, can you think of any circumstances in which it is normal to refer to someone, a singular person, with they, them pronouns?
Maybe it's like, when you find someone's hat on the bus, you might say, oh look, someone lost their hat, because you don't quite know what gender they are.
Absolutely, great job. Now moving on to round 2 where all points are double. Liv, how often can people change what pronouns they like to go by?
I mean, I guess since it's all about freedom, it would be weird to have a limit on how you can express yourself, especially having like governments or other groups trying to regulate how many times you may change it or how you may express yourself. I think people should just have the freedom of expressing themselves and how they would like, regardless of how many times they may change their pronouns.
Yes, absolutely. Next question, April, who gets hurt when someone changes their pronouns?
Nobody gets physically hurt, I guess. Some families might find it disrespectful when somebody changes their pronouns. Others might not. It's really depending on the family. The person changing their pronouns for sure doesn't want to cause any discomfort or hurt anybody. They just want to express themselves the way they are. And it would really be best for everyone if we could just accept that.
Wow, absolutely. Next question, Liv, can people experiment with different pronouns?
I mean, sure, why not? I mean, it's okay if people are experimenting with they, them pronouns and not really deciding to go by it. It's okay if people just want to be called by it, and people should call people by the pronouns that they want. It is, again, it would definitely be weird if, like, some government entity would, like, be regulating all this. It's all about experimentation and expressing yourself.
Correct! Wow, you are on a roll. Next question, April. Who will police you if you get someone's pronouns wrong?
I don't really think anybody is doing that. If you're intentionally getting someone's pronouns wrong, of course you might get into other sorts of trouble because that's not really a polite thing to do. But if you're making an honest effort to use someone's right pronouns and you slip up now and again, I don't really think you are policed for that or should be.
Right on. For a 5-point bonus, what is an easy trick you can use if you find someone's pronouns difficult?
Oh, you can just use the 5 times in your head trick. Whenever you accidentally mess up someone's pronouns, what you can do is you can imagine 5 sentences in your head that use the correct ones to help you learn them.
Fantastic. Now here's a tricky one. If you hear people using they, them pronouns and you're not sure if it's referring to an individual non-binary person or a group of people, what do? Live?
You could ask them, or you could just use context clues if you're reading it from a book or something.
Yes! A question for April. How do you find out why someone would want to change their gender or pronouns?
I feel like that's kind of a trick question. You don't need to understand someone's pain to help them deal with it. You just need to trust that they're living the life that is best for them. So you don't need to totally understand why someone would want to change their gender. You just need to trust that it's the right decision for them, and that it's a decision they should be able to make on their own without interference from the government or media.
Fantastic! Now the final question for everyone. Is this political?
I feel like politicians are making a really big deal about it, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I don't think Democrats or Republicans should be able to have a choice in what my pronouns are. I think it's all about freedom.
I mean, I feel like this is all about respect and kindness. If I want to respect somebody's pronouns, they'd respect me back. It's all about that sort of give and take of mutual respect and understanding, and that's why I came here to learn about pronouns in the first place.
Fantastic! Right all around! Congratulations to our winner! If you haven't done so already, I would actually highly recommend jumping over to the video series titled Let's Talk About Transgender People, since this isn't just about pronouns. To understand this, it's more important to actually understand things about the transgender community and individuals as a whole. And that is going to be linked in the description right below this video. You can watch it as just one big 50-minute video, or you can watch it split up into 6 different chunks plus an introduction. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any further questions, feel free to pop them in the comments below. And we're also always making new videos here at Discovering Freedom, so let us know if you have any topics or any big questions that you think we ought to discuss. Have a wonderful rest of your day.